My name is Kate, and I'm in a throuple with another woman and a man. What started as a thrilling adventure for all of us eventually led to a shocking conclusion. It all began during a wild, passionate night of an unforgettable experience with my husband on our honeymoon in Mexico, where I discovered something unexpected about myself. I was bisexual. This revelation sparked a journey full of passion and excitement, and I'm eager to share every detail from the very beginning. I met Justin, my husband, 15 years ago during my final year of college. He was magnetic, someone you couldn't help but notice the moment he walked into a room. I was studying marketing and always focused on presentations and business plans, but Justin's presence made me forget everything else. He was studying software development and had this natural charm, with his tall frame, wavy dark hair, and deep brown eyes that seemed to see right into my soul. His smile was warm, which could light up even the darkest of rooms, and his laugh was infectious, making me want to be close to him all the time. The first time we talked, it was like we had known each other for years. Justin had this way of making me feel special, like I was the only person in the world that mattered. We'd talk for hours, sharing secrets, dreams, and the kind of fantasies that made our hearts race. He had this intensity that was both thrilling and a little overwhelming, and I loved it. Our connection was undeniable, and it wasn't long before we were sneaking away between classes to go to a secluded place and do it. We were both very active in our sex lives and open to trying new things. We realized that we wanted our futures to be intertwined, that we were destined to be more than just college sweethearts. We were soulmates, bound by something neither of us could quite explain. We fell in love quickly and got married right after college. Our honeymoon in Mexico was amazing. We explored beaches, tried new foods, and had the best 2 weeks of our lives. We walked through small towns, met friendly locals, swam in the clear ocean, and had romantic dinners. We even got matching infinity tattoos to remember the trip and our bond. We indulged in local beverages and had plenty of fun the whole trip. On our 4th day, we went to a bar for some drinks and dancing. A girl approached us while we were talking and said something in Spanish. Since we both didn't know Spanish, we said, "I don't understand." She then switched to English. It wasn't perfect, but we could communicate. She offered to dance with me. Justin looked at me and nodded as if to say, "Go ahead." I laughed, held her hand, and we went to the dance floor and started dancing. After a couple of minutes, she started getting close and holding me by my waist, but her hand moved a bit lower than it should have. I had a lot to drink, but not too much. I laughed and gently moved her hand away. She looked me in the eyes and said, "You are pretty," then leaned in for a kiss. Not in a forceful way, but as if she were asking permission, but I moved my head, said sorry to her, and went back to Justin. "What happened?" he asked. "Nothing. She just tried to kiss me." "Let's go back," I replied. We went back to the hotel, and that night we were intimate almost until morning. I was very excited and didn't let him sleep, which he was fine with. Later in the morning, we went to a great breakfast place, and Justin said, "Then, what happened last night with that girl?" I told him, and he said, "She was quite the charmer," in a joking way. "What would you do if I kissed her?" I asked playfully while laughing. "I think I wouldn't be mad or anything," he said. I laughed, said, "Shut up," and playfully hit his shoulder. We kept eating our food. We had a lot planned, so it was a busy day. We went snorkeling, and throughout the dive, all I could think about was kissing that girl, which made me excited. As soon as we came back to our hotel, I jumped on Justin, and we had another great session. Justin and I don't keep any secrets from each other, and we are both open-minded. We regularly try new things in bed, like toys, role-playing, and other adventurous stuff. We're not shy about asking for what we want, and I think that's the best part of our relationship. I felt like I had to tell Justin what was happening, as I started to feel like I was mentally cheating him because, in my mind and fantasy world, it went much further than just a kiss. We were in an all-inclusive 5-star resort, and there were plenty of restaurants in the resort. However, I suggested staying within the resort premises and dining at a meat restaurant instead. He was totally fine with it. I intended to share all my feelings and thoughts with him during our dinner together. We were seated at a cozy table by the window with a beautiful view of the ocean. After we finished our meal, I brought up the incident from yesterday with the girl, saying, "Do you remember that?" He nodded playfully. "I've been having weird feelings and fantasizing about this thing. Not in an emotional sense, but more in a physical way." He was totally cool with it and asked if I had any experience with another woman before, and I said no. I had a lot of time to think, and if he was totally cool with it, I would like to try this new experience just this once. So I said, "Would you be up to having a threesome with some ground rules?" He nearly choked on his drink and exclaimed, "Are you serious?" I responded with, "Yeah, what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico." "I'm really not into having sex with another woman," he said. I just laughed it off and said, "That's fine. That was my initial rule. If you're interested, I have many more rules we can delve into." He was intrigued and said, "Let's discuss this over some drinks." So we left the restaurant and moved to the resort cocktail bar. After ordering drinks, it was time to discuss these ground rules. We ordered our drinks, feeling the anticipation building, and started fantasizing about the details. I told him everything I had thought and felt since that girl tried to kiss me, my voice trembling slightly with excitement, and he was completely understanding and supportive, his reassuring smile making me feel even more comfortable. After conducting thorough online research together, giggling over some of the things we found, we discovered that the term we were seeking is unicorn. After reading insightful Reddit posts on strategies for finding a unicorn, we opted to download Tinder. Interestingly, we discovered a unique feature on the app that allows couples to indicate their interest in a third person, which made us feel even more hopeful. After setting up our profile and uploading some enticing pictures, making sure they captured both of our playful sides, we began swiping on Tinder. All the while, we continued to enjoy our drinks and engage in discussions about the details. We spent a good amount of time on the app, laughing and teasing each other about potential matches, and went back to our hotel room shortly after midnight. When we woke up, the excitement hit us immediately, as we saw we already had a couple of messages from the girls we swiped right. We were both so excited, our hearts pounding with anticipation, and we responded to all of them. We messaged them, carefully explaining that this was our first experience and that we were only looking to try it once without hurting anyone emotionally, making sure we were honest and clear. Here was the plan. We would meet at a cafe, enjoy getting to know each other, have dinner at our resort restaurant, savor some drinks under the moonlight, and then head back to our room if we all felt comfortable. After chatting with two girls, we arranged a date with one of them for tomorrow. The next day, we both felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. We spent extra time getting ready, making sure we looked our best. I chose a dress that made me feel confident, and Justin wore a shirt that I always loved on him. We kept exchanging glances, both of us knowing what the evening might hold, our excitement barely contained. When we finally met her at the cafe, she was even more beautiful in person. Her name was Sophia, a 26-year-old Mexican girl who could speak perfect English. She had just come out of a 6-year relationship and was looking for something different, something new and exciting. She had this friendly smile that immediately put us at ease. We talked for a while, laughing and getting to know each other. It felt surprisingly natural, as if we were just three friends meeting up for the first time, but with an unspoken tension that made every touch and smile feel more charged. After the cafe, we went to the resort restaurant for dinner. The conversation flowed easily, laughter echoing through the room, and there was a spark between all of us that seemed to grow stronger with each passing minute. Sophia was open and honest about her experiences, and we appreciated how comfortable she made everything feel. As the night went on, we moved to the bar for some drinks. The atmosphere was light and flirtatious, and I could feel the tension building. Justin and I exchanged knowing looks, our eyes filled with anticipation, and Sophia seemed to pick up on it, her smile teasing and knowing, making my heart race with excitement. Back in our hotel room, the energy was electric. We talked a bit more, making sure everyone was still comfortable, the tension between us palpable, and then things started to heat up as we finally let go of our inhibitions. It was thrilling, and the experience was everything we had hoped for. Sophia was amazing, her touch gentle yet confident, and it felt like we were all perfectly in sync, every movement feeling natural and right. There was a lot of laughter, soft whispers mixed with smiles, and the intimacy was both thrilling and comforting, like we were sharing a secret only we knew. It felt like we were breaking boundaries together, exploring something new that brought Justin and me even closer. Afterward, we lay there, catching our breath, sharing small kisses and smiles, our bodies still tangled together as we savored the moment. Sophia stayed for a little while longer, her fingers tracing lazy patterns on my arm, and we talked about how great the night had been, laughing softly as we replayed our favorite moments. When she eventually left, Justin and I cuddled up together, feeling more connected than ever. We talked late into the night about everything, what we loved, what surprised us, and how we felt about each other. It was an experience that not only fulfilled a fantasy, but also deepened our bond in a way we hadn't expected. The next few days were filled with a sense of satisfaction and closeness. We knew this wasn't something we wanted to do often, but it was an adventure we were glad we took. It brought a new layer of excitement to our relationship, a spark that reignited our passion, and it was something we would always look back on with a smile, knowing we had shared something truly unique together. It wasn't just about the physical aspect, it was about the trust, openness, and love that allowed us to share such an experience together. We went back home after a very good honeymoon and never did something like that again. Until 4 years ago, when Justin offered to try it again, this time in our hometown. I also wanted to do it, but I had my worries. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, but I trusted Justin, and I also really wanted to do it. So we did. We did the same thing as we did back in Mexico, and this time we met with Olivia. She was 32, a gorgeous woman working as a micro-influencer. Olivia had a charming personality, with a confidence that was both alluring and a bit intimidating. She had long, wavy blonde hair, striking blue eyes, and a radiant smile that could light up the entire room. She was someone who had a certain presence, someone who knew how to captivate an audience, both online and in person. We met at a local bar that had a cozy atmosphere, perfect for easing into the night ahead. As we sat down, the conversation flowed easily. Olivia was witty and engaging, and I could feel the chemistry between all of us. She shared stories from her work as an influencer, her adventures with different brands, and her excitement about doing something spontaneous like this. Justin and I exchanged glances throughout the conversation, just like we did back in Mexico. There was an electric tension building as we talked, and it was clear that Olivia felt it too. After some time at the bar, we decided to take things back to our place. The car ride home was filled with laughter, and my heart was pounding with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Once we got home, we poured some wine and settled into the living room. We talked some more, getting comfortable, and the tension in the room was almost tangible. But unlike the last time, something felt different. The more we talked, the more I realized there was a deeper connection forming between the three of us. There was an emotional intimacy that went beyond physical attraction. We ended up talking all night, sharing stories, dreams, and fears. Olivia opened up about her past, about what brought her here, and how she was looking for something more than just a fleeting encounter. Justin and I shared our journey as well, and it felt like we were all bearing our souls in a way we hadn't planned. As the night went on, the atmosphere shifted. The closeness we felt became overwhelming, and soon, our touches grew more intimate. We moved closer, letting our inhibitions fade away. Before we knew it, we were tangled together, our bodies exploring each other's warmth until the early morning hours. It was passionate and raw, a reflection of the connection we had built through our conversations. We didn't hold back, and it felt as if time stood still as we embraced each moment fully. We slept for a couple of hours, then I woke up to the smell of breakfast. Olivia was still sleeping next to me in her underwear, looking absolutely gorgeous. I gently woke her up and whispered, "Let's go." She smiled at me, gave me a soft kiss, and went to the bathroom to freshen up. I made my way to the kitchen to help Justin, but he had already finished preparing everything. The table was set, and it smelled amazing. When Olivia joined us, we all sat down together for breakfast. The morning sunlight filled the room, and there was a sense of warmth and comfort between us as we ate. We laughed and talked, enjoying each other's company. and for a while, it felt like we were just three friends sharing a special morning together. After breakfast, Olivia gathered her things, and we hugged her tightly before she left. She gave Justin a warm smile and me a quick kiss on the cheek, and then she was gone, leaving behind a lingering sense of closeness. Once we were finally alone, Justin and I talked about everything that had happened over the past several hours. We were both happy, content in a way that was hard to describe. I wasn't sure if it was because of Olivia or if it was just that we both had a fantasy like this, but she had been incredible in every way. She was smart, understanding, and breathtakingly beautiful. She knew what she wanted and wasn't shy about it, which only made her more attractive. We talked about how comfortable she had made us feel and how easy it had been to connect with her. It wasn't just about the physical aspect, it was also about the emotional openness we shared. Olivia was bisexual, and her last relationship had been with another woman, which made her even more understanding of our dynamic. We both agreed that what we had experienced with Olivia was something special, something that had brought us closer together, not just as a couple, but as individuals exploring what we truly wanted. We started texting in a group and liked her even more. We found ourselves constantly chatting, sharing jokes, and getting to know each other better. The connection between the three of us grew stronger with each message, and soon we all decided that one night wasn't enough. We made another date over the weekend, this time deciding to escape the city and head to a countryside Airbnb house for 2 days. It felt like a perfect way to deepen our bond without the distractions of everyday life. We packed our bags with excitement, bringing along some adult games, toys, and of course, plenty of wine. We wanted to make sure the weekend was as fun and adventurous as possible. When we picked up Olivia, she greeted us with her warm smile and a sparkle in her eyes that hinted at the adventures ahead. The drive to the countryside was filled with laughter and playful teasing. We rolled down the windows, letting the fresh air fill the car as we sang along to our favorite songs. When we arrived at the Airbnb, it was even more beautiful than we had imagined. The house was cozy, surrounded by trees and nature, with a view that seemed to stretch on forever. It felt like we were in our own little world. We spent the first afternoon exploring the area, taking a walk through the nearby woods, and enjoying the peacefulness of the countryside. There was something incredibly freeing about being away from everything, just the three of us, with no obligations or expectations. That evening, we cooked dinner together in the small but well-equipped kitchen. Olivia took charge, showing off her culinary skills while Justin and I helped out, sneaking kisses and stealing glances at each other. The atmosphere was light and playful, and by the time dinner was ready, we were all starving. We sat down at the wooden table, the candles casting a soft glow, and enjoyed the delicious meal we had made together. We talked for hours, sharing stories from our pasts and dreams for the future, and there was a sense of intimacy that felt deeper than before. After dinner, we opened a bottle of wine and settled into the living room. We played some of the games we had brought, laughing, teasing, and slowly letting the tension build. It was different from the first time we had been together. This time, we all knew each other better, and there was a comfort that made everything feel even more special. We spent the night wrapped in each other's arms, exploring and enjoying each other. It was passionate, raw, and yet somehow tender, a perfect mix of everything we all craved. The next day was lazy and relaxed. We woke up late, the sunlight streaming through the curtains, and took our time getting out of bed. We made breakfast together, eating on the porch while we enjoyed the beautiful view. The rest of the day was spent lounging around, playing more games, and just enjoying each other's company. There were moments of laughter, moments of quiet, and moments of passion. Everything felt balanced, like we were exactly where we were supposed to be. That evening, we decided to have a barbecue outside. Justin took charge of the grill, while Olivia and I set up the table. As the sun began to set, the sky turned shades of pink and orange, and we sat down to enjoy our meal under the open sky. It was beautiful. One of those moments that felt almost too perfect to be real. We talked about everything and nothing, the conversation flowing easily as the night went on. We drank wine, shared more stories, And as the stars started to appear, we moved closer to each other, feeling the warmth of the connection we had built. That night, we made love again, this time with a slow tenderness that felt different from before. It wasn't just about the excitement or the passion, it was about the bond we had created, the trust and openness that allowed us to be completely ourselves with each other. We fell asleep tangled together, the sound of the wind rustling through the trees lulling us into a deep and peaceful sleep. The weekend came to an end too soon, and as we packed up to head back home, there was a sense of bittersweetness. We had shared something truly special, something that had brought us even closer together. On the drive back, we talked about our favorite moments from the weekend, laughing and reminiscing. When we dropped Olivia off, we hugged her tightly, promising to do this again sometime soon. I think we were able to enjoy these moments because our work life was also going very well. We had both started earning more in the past couple of months, and we genuinely loved our jobs. The stability and success we were experiencing professionally gave us the freedom to explore new adventures together without worries. It felt like everything in our lives was aligning perfectly, allowing us to fully embrace these special experiences without hesitation or stress. We talked about our future on the drive home, discussing not only our personal goals, but also our hopes for our relationship, how we could continue to grow together, explore new things, and keep that spark alive. We had a 2-week holiday coming up, and we were planning a trip to Mexico again after all those years. After some discussion, we decided to invite Olivia along. She was excited and accepted without hesitation. We spent the next couple of weeks planning every detail of the trip together, deciding on which activities we wanted to do, places to visit, and what experiences we wanted to share. It felt like a perfect opportunity to create even more memories together, and we were all eager for the adventure. The trip itself was incredible. When we arrived in Mexico, it was almost like we had stepped back in time, but with the added thrill of having Olivia with us. We visited the same spots we had loved years ago, but everything felt different with her there. We explored the vibrant markets, walked along the beautiful beaches, and tried all kinds of delicious food. Olivia was always so enthusiastic and curious, and it made every moment even more fun. We would spend the days exploring and adventuring, and then relax together in the evenings, watching the sunset over the ocean. It was strange at times, being so openly affectionate with both Justin and Olivia. We held hands, kissed, and enjoyed each other's company without a care in the world. Sometimes, we would notice people giving us strange looks, especially when the three of us held hands in public, but we didn't care. We were happy, and that was all that mattered to us. We knew what we had was unconventional, but it was ours, and it felt right. One of the highlights of the trip was a boat excursion we took along the coast. The water was crystal clear, and the scenery was breathtaking. We laughed, swam, and even snorkeled together, discovering the underwater beauty of Mexico. The connection between the three of us felt stronger than ever, and there were moments when I looked at Justin and Olivia and felt overwhelmed with love and gratitude for the life we were living. In the evenings, we would return to our villa, exhausted from the day's activities, but still eager to spend more time together. We would cook meals, play games, and sometimes just sit and talk for hours. We shared stories, laughed until we cried, and enjoyed each other's presence without any reservations. It wasn't always about the passion or the intimacy. It was about the connection, the bond that was growing deeper with every passing day. The 2 weeks went by in the blink of an eye, and before we knew it, it was time to head back home. On our last night in Mexico, we sat together on the beach, watching the waves crash against the shore. There was a sense of peace and fulfillment, and we talked about how much we had enjoyed the trip. We promised each other that we would do this again, that we would continue to explore, to adventure, and to cherish every moment we had together. As we made our way back home, I couldn't help but reflect on how much things had changed since that first trip to Mexico. Back then, it was just Justin and me, newly married and filled with excitement for the future. Now, we had Olivia, and it felt like our relationship had evolved into something even more beautiful. The trip had been everything we had hoped for and more, and I knew that the memories we had created would stay with us forever. Everything was going great, but we had to speak with Justin and decide what to do, because we had all grown close and didn't want to hurt Olivia in the long run. I started to have real feelings for her. I love Justin, and I will always love him, but I liked Olivia too. Maybe I was even starting to love her. I was afraid she might be feeling the same way, and it must have been much scarier for her because Justin and I were in a strong, committed marriage. If it ever came to a choice, she knew we wouldn't even think of separating, and that must have been hard for her. But Olivia didn't want that. She liked Justin as much as she liked me. It's hard to describe, but we seemed to have the right balance where I wasn't worried about jealousy or complications. However, it was time to speak with Justin and decide what we should do in the long run. We sat down one-on-one with Justin, and I told him everything I had been thinking. He shared his thoughts too, and we had an open and honest discussion. We both acknowledged how much we cared for Olivia, and we agreed that our relationship with her made us happy. We decided to make a pact. No matter what happens, Justin and I would always be together at the end of the day. The love we had for each other was unwavering, and we wanted to ensure that we never lost sight of that. Justin admitted that he also had feelings for Olivia, and surprisingly, I was okay with it. It was hard to explain why, but I think it was because I shared the same feelings for her. It felt natural, not forced or awkward, and that made all the difference. We decided it was time to speak with Olivia about everything. We wanted to know if she was feeling the same way, and if she would be comfortable continuing our relationship as it was. So, we arranged a dinner with her, making sure we had the right setting for a serious conversation. We met at a quiet, cozy restaurant, and after some light conversation and laughs, we moved on to the topic at hand. We told her how we felt, how much we cared about her, and how we wanted to continue what we had built together. Olivia listened carefully, her expression thoughtful. When we were done, she took a deep breath and confessed that she felt the same way. She had fallen in love with both of us. She then shared her own idea. She wanted us to be in a committed relationship together, all three of us. It was a bold and honest admission, and it caught us by surprise. She spoke about how much she loved both Justin and me, and how she didn't want to just be a part of our lives occasionally. She wanted something deeper, something more permanent. She wanted us to be a true throuple, where we would all be equal partners, sharing our lives in every aspect. It was clear that she had put a lot of thought into this, and her vulnerability in that moment made me realize just how serious she was. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke, and I could see the hope and fear in her eyes, hope that we would say yes, and fear that we might not feel the same way. Justin reached out and took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. I could see the emotion on his face. He cared about her deeply, just as I did. We were all quiet for a moment, letting her words sink in, and I could feel the weight of the decision we were about to make. There was a lot to consider, how it would work, how our lives would change, and if we were truly ready to take that step. But in that moment, as I looked at Justin and Olivia, I realized that this was something I wanted too. The love I felt for both of them was real, and the idea of building a life together as a trio felt right, even if it was unconventional. I took a deep breath and smiled at Olivia. "This is a big step," I said, my voice soft but steady, "but I think it's something we can do together." Justin nodded in agreement, and I could see the relief wash over Olivia's face. She smiled, her eyes welling up with emotion, and I knew we were making the right decision. We spent the rest of the evening talking about what this would mean for us, how we would navigate our lives, the challenges we might face, and the love we would share. It was a serious conversation, but it was also filled with hope and excitement for the future. We were taking a leap of faith, but we were doing it together, and that made all the difference. Olivia moved into our house 1 month later. She didn't have a lot of stuff, and she was very happy with everything. We helped her settle in, making space in our home for her belongings and ensuring she felt comfortable in her new environment. It felt like we were creating something new together, building a home that truly reflected all three of us. Our first year together was like a honeymoon phase, just like it had been with Justin when we first got married. We spent our days enjoying each other's company, sharing our lives, and creating beautiful memories. Weekends were filled with adventures, road trips to nearby towns, picnics in the park, and nights spent under the stars. We tried new things together, like cooking classes, dance lessons, and even yoga, always finding new ways to connect and have fun. The evenings were often the best part of the day. We would cook dinner together, each of us taking on different tasks, and then sit down to enjoy the meal we had created. Afterward, we'd cuddle up on the couch to watch a movie or just talk about our day. There were moments of passion, moments of laughter, and moments of quiet contentment. Everything felt balanced, like we were exactly where we were meant to be. We celebrated each other's successes, supported each other through challenges, and grew closer with each passing day. There was a sense of harmony between us, and it made everything feel right. We were learning how to navigate this new dynamic, and though it wasn't always easy, it was always worth it. We all felt so alive and happy, and it was clear that the love we shared was something special, something that made every day feel like a new adventure. We all introduced each other to our friends, and while it was sometimes a little awkward, it was nothing we couldn't handle. There were moments when we got curious looks or hesitant questions, but overall, our friends were incredibly supportive. Both Justin and I didn't have a lot of friends, but the ones we did have were close friends, people who had known us for years and understood us on a deeper level. They were the kind of friends who wouldn't judge and instead would support us, no matter what. It made the introductions a lot easier, knowing that we had friends who genuinely wanted us to be happy. The same was true for Olivia. She also had a small circle of close friends, and when she introduced us to them, they were surprisingly accepting. They asked questions, of course, curious about how we made things work, what it was like being in a relationship with 3 people. But it was never in a judgmental way. They were intrigued, but they respected our relationship and the love we shared. Over time, our friend circles began to merge. We would host small gatherings at our house, inviting both our friends and Olivia's. It was heartwarming to see everyone come together, laughing, chatting, and just enjoying each other's company. There were still times when we faced challenges, moments when someone would make an offhand comment or give us a strange look. But we had each other, and that made all the difference. We knew that no matter what, we were in this together, and having the support of our friends only strengthened our bond. We even found ourselves growing closer to each other's friends, building new relationships, and expanding our support network. It wasn't always easy, but seeing how our friends embraced our love made it all worthwhile. We decided not to say anything to our parents, as it would lead to unnecessary explanations and the hope that they might understand, which we highly doubted. My family met Olivia as if she were just our best friend, and it was the same with Justin's family. We wanted to keep things simple and avoid any confusion or judgment that could arise from explaining our unique relationship. It wasn't that we were ashamed, it was just that we knew how difficult it could be for others, especially family, to grasp something so unconventional. Despite this, we were happy that Olivia was welcomed warmly, even if the true nature of our relationship was kept private. It made things easier for us, and we could still enjoy spending time together as a blended family. Our second and third years together were also great. It felt like we had built this unbreakable bond, a connection that grew stronger with every passing day. We were all still very active, exploring new hobbies, going on adventures, and sharing every moment with each other. We celebrated milestones together, birthdays, anniversaries, and personal achievements, each one bringing us even closer. Our weekends were often spent traveling, trying new restaurants, or simply enjoying quiet nights in with good food, laughter, and warmth. Everything felt right, like we had found the perfect balance between love, passion, and companionship. But then, during our 4th year, everything changed abruptly because Olivia got pregnant. It wasn't something we had planned at all. Both Olivia and I were on the pill. Olivia had never missed a day, and I was meticulous about taking mine as well. We thought we were being careful, and yet somehow, despite all of our precautions, she got pregnant. It all started when Olivia missed her period for 2 weeks. At first, we didn't think much of it. Maybe it was stress or just a minor delay. But as more days went by, we started to worry. Eventually, we decided to take a pregnancy test, just to be sure. When the test came back positive, the room fell silent. The news hit us like a wave, bringing with it a whirlwind of emotions. None of us knew how to react. We were all in shock, unable to believe that this could be happening despite taking all the necessary precautions. It felt surreal, almost impossible. There was a mix of emotions: confusion, disbelief, and even fear. We needed to be sure, so we made an appointment with the doctor. The wait for the appointment felt like an eternity, with all three of us caught between hope and dread. When the doctor confirmed the pregnancy, the reality truly set in. There was excitement, fear, and an overwhelming sense of the unknown. The thought of a baby, our baby, Justin's baby from Olivia, everything began to slowly sink in, and with it came emotions I couldn't quite put into words. The dynamic between us shifted almost overnight. Suddenly, everything felt different. We had deep conversations about what this meant for our relationship, for each of us as individuals, and for our future together. We had talked about this before, and none of us wanted kids. That's why both Olivia and I were on the pill. I've been on the pill since I met Justin, and everything has been fine so far. Olivia started using it after she began having sex with Justin, as her last relationship was with another woman, so there was no need for birth control back then. She assured us she had never missed a day, and we believed her because Olivia was always careful and responsible. Despite all the precautions, here we were, facing an unexpected pregnancy. It was shocking, and we couldn't quite wrap our heads around how it happened. We tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was just one of those rare instances where birth control fails. But even knowing that, it didn't make it any easier to process. Olivia made it clear from the beginning that she didn't want an abortion. She had always dreamed of being a mother someday, even if it hadn't been something we planned for right now. Justin and I were torn. We didn't know what to do or say. We wanted to be supportive of Olivia's wishes, but we also couldn't ignore our own fears and uncertainties. What would this mean for our relationship dynamic? How would we explain this to our families? Would we be able to handle the responsibilities of parenthood as a throuple? The questions were endless, and the answers felt impossible to grasp. We spent countless nights talking, sometimes late into the early hours of the morning, trying to figure out the best path forward. There were tears, moments of silence, and moments of hope. We tried to support Olivia as best we could, but we were also grappling with our own mixed emotions. We loved Olivia deeply, and we loved each other, but this was something none of us had anticipated. It tested us in ways we hadn't imagined, forcing us to confront our fears and our commitment to one another. I was also thinking about Justin. If I was feeling this way, what must he be feeling? It's his child too, and I knew that this was just as overwhelming for him as it was for me. I decided to speak with him one-on-one to help him through the process and make sure we were both on the same page. We found a quiet evening to sit down together, just the two of us. I could see the uncertainty in his eyes, and I knew he was struggling to find the right words to express everything he was feeling. I started by telling him how I was feeling, the confusion, the fear, but also the hope that maybe, despite everything, we could find a way to make this work. Justin listened, nodding slowly, and then he opened up about his own fears. He was scared of how this would change everything, our relationship, our dynamic with Olivia, our lives. He was worried about whether he could be a good father and whether this was something we were all ready for. It was clear that he was trying to stay strong, but there were moments when his voice wavered, and I could tell how deeply this was affecting him. Over the next few weeks, things started to change between us. Justin became more distant, spending more time with Olivia. I tried to convince myself that it was just because they were bonding over the pregnancy, but deep down, I could feel something slipping away. The once unbreakable bond we had seemed to be unraveling, and I felt helpless to stop it. One evening, I walked into the living room to find Justin and Olivia sitting close together on the couch, whispering to each other. The way they looked at each other, there was an intimacy there that felt different, something that excluded me. My heart sank, but I forced a smile and joined them, trying to push away the growing feeling of unease. As the weeks turned into months, the distance between Justin and me only grew. He would spend more nights in Olivia's room, and our conversations became shorter, more superficial. I tried to talk to him about it, to understand what was happening, but he always brushed it off, telling me that everything was fine and that I was overthinking. But I knew I wasn't. I could feel the shift, and it terrified me. Then one day, Justin sat me down. His face was serious, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. He told me that the pregnancy had changed everything for him. He felt a strong sense of responsibility toward the baby, and that his bond with Olivia had grown deeper because of it. He admitted that he couldn't ignore the pull he felt to be a father, and to be there fully for Olivia and their child. He said he still loved me, but he wanted to be with Olivia, to be a real partner to her, and a father to their baby. My heart shattered as I listened to his words. It felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me, and I was left grasping for something, anything to hold on to. Justin moved out a week later. He and Olivia found a place of their own, leaving me behind in the house that once felt full of warmth and love. The emptiness was unbearable. I tried to convince myself that I would be okay, but the silence of the house was a constant reminder of everything I had lost. I felt betrayed, abandoned, and utterly alone. I watched from a distance as Justin and Olivia started their new life together, preparing for the baby's arrival. The sight of them together, happy and excited for their future, tore me apart. I had always thought we were in this together, that no matter what, Justin and I would never let anything come between us. But now, everything had changed. The baby had become a priority, and I was left with nothing but memories of the love we once shared. Olivia gave birth a few months later. I found out through social media, their smiling faces, holding a newborn, looked like the picture of happiness. It felt like a knife in my heart. They had moved on, built a new life, and I was nothing more than a distant memory. The love we had once shared felt like a cruel joke, a reminder that even the strongest bonds can be broken. I knew I had to find a way to move on, but it wasn't easy. I spent months grieving, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. The pain was overwhelming, but slowly I started to rebuild my life. I focused on my career, threw myself into my work, and tried to find solace in the little things. It wasn't the life I had imagined, but it was mine, and I had to make the best of it. Justin and Olivia became family, and I became a stranger to them. The love we had once shared was gone, replaced by a void that I wasn't sure would ever be filled. But I knew I had to keep moving forward, one day at a time, even if it meant letting go of the people I once thought I would spend my life with. The ending wasn't what I had hoped for. It wasn't the happy, loving future I had imagined. Instead, it was a harsh reminder that life doesn't always go as planned. That sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, it isn't enough. And as I sat alone in the empty house, I realized that the only person I could truly rely on was myself. It was a painful truth, but it was one I had to accept in order to move on.